Hey YouTube, it's me, it's the man who likes to rant, dropping a brand new VOD for you today. And before I get started, for those of you wondering, hey Ranter, where is that other guy who was in the video with you last time? We liked him. We just had a little scheduling conflict this week, so he wasn't able to be a part of it. But don't worry, after this weekend, he'll be back, and we got a lot to talk about because I got something special for you guys. But let's get into the event of the day, WWE TLC, which I bet you thought stood for tables, ladders, and chairs. And while there was plenty of that in this pay-per-view, what TLC actually stood for was totally lame creative. But we'll get to all the problems I have with that in a second. So let's start things off with a kick. Mountain Dew pre-show. Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks, and my God, why couldn't this match be on the main card? Let me put it this way. I have no problem with them featuring Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, because I know the kind of matches that those two can have from their time in NXT. My problem is that pre-show matches are always gimped as far as the amount of time that they are given. These two divas, who are the two best talents that you have that may not have a title. I know Paige is in that conversation too, trust me, I'm not forgetting her. But really, these women deserve a more prominent role than what they're given in the current WWE product. And hopefully, now that you're beginning to feature Sasha on a regular basis, you will finally push her to the level she deserves to be, because I do believe that she is just a little bit better than Becky is right now. I'm sorry, Becky, I love you to death, and I hope you get the title soon. Anyway, decent match. It didn't really get me fired up for the pay-per-view because I was so disenchanted with where that match was on the event, and there was no extreme elements, no chairs, no tables. But some are saying, oh, Ranter, you can't do that with women. I'll remind you that Lita and Trish did back in the Attitude Era. It was fine. Let's discuss the big element of the pay-per-view that lends it to so much of my disgust. Vince, I'm talking to you directly in this one, so I want you to pay attention. Do you know what made the Attitude Era great? I had to tune into Raw and SmackDown every week, because I didn't know what was going to happen. The show was unpredictable. The shows were off the cuff. This, that, and the other. I call this pay-per-view totally lame creative because you could see how the matches were going to end. It was so predictable. I know people in the modern society, in every aspect that isn't wrestling, are begging for consistency and predictability and regularity. It does not mean it has to translate here. Oh, you're capable of so much better. Anyway, first match of the night. Tag team titles, tag team ladder match, triple threat, Lucha Dragons, New Day, and the Usos. All due respect to the Usos, and I'm glad to see them back, but they really underperformed in this match. I mean, really. You could have just had New Day and Lucha Dragons, and I would have been just as happy. Especially since you consider that my man Kalisto, who I've been ranting about in a good way, had the spot of the night with his Selena Del Sol off the ladder and landing onto another ladder. And for those of you who are saying, oh, you just like it because it was a Mick Foley kind of spot. I know it was designed to look dangerous, but you could tell Kalisto actually had control. But brother, Kalisto, if you're listening, man, you earned some respect that night for the move you pulled off. So why am I ragging on it? Because the match ended predictably. Xavier Woods was his usual annoying self, playing his little trombone, back and forth. And then you see him on commentary, and you know this little piece of crap hasn't been involved in the match the whole time. So I'm like, the second New Day is in any danger of losing those titles, that trombone's going to come into play somehow. Yep. hitting Kalisto in the back. Was it Kalisto, Sin Cara? One of the Lucha Dragons in the back, keeping them from getting the titles. New Day goes over. You know, I know we're supposed to hate these guys, and trust me, we do. At some point, somebody's going to beat these guys, and it's going to involve Xavier being barred from ringside. I know the few New Day fans are out there who do actually clap New Day rocks. I know you're going to say, but Xavier makes the group entertaining. I'm like, Xavier makes the group annoying. I need him to go away. We need to revitalize the tag team division. There are ways to do it. Will WWE do it? Probably not, because actually New Day is making them a fair amount of money, because there are people who come and regularly want to see these guys get their butt kicked. It's working. Now I want them to lose the straps again. But, you know, predictable fare. You knew it was coming. Me and my friends called the end of the match, I think, 10 minutes before it actually happened. But I'm not disappointed per se. I'm just disappointed in the predictability of the booking. Next match. Oh boy. The Elimination Table match. Team ECW, which is Dudley Boyz, Tommy Dreamer, and Rhino, versus the Wyatt family. This is something rare. I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to look you dead in the face, Vince McMahon, just in case you happen to watch this video, and I'm going to say, thank you. Thank you for doing the right thing. First of all, you're doing the right thing business-wise because you're capitalizing on the pop, the nostalgia pop that hardcore fans get anytime the Dudley Boyz and Tommy Dreamer and Rhino walk into an arena. You're capitalizing on that. Very good. Very good. And you know that these established veterans can push the young guns, being the Wyatt family, in an extreme sort of match. And by having the Wyatts win, you establish that you are beginning to gear yourself towards the future. And I might as well mention this in the process. Thank you also for what happened on Raw, because the Wyatt family won then. And you did not give in to your usual trend of this 50-50 booking crap that Nick and Mr. Rodriguez and I talked about in our last video. Thank you. Good. Well done. Oh, that was good. So good. I look for big things for the Wyatts in the future, because this victory over these established stars should catapult them into prominence. They're already there with the Fireflies. You know, the crowd's into them. And I don't care if their heels being shot as faces. Everything's quasi. And in this current WWE universe, people are going to cheer for who they want for. Now, oh, I should mention another annoying thing, and that's your theme you picked for this event. I didn't need to hear it every 5 minutes or in between every match. I don't like the song, but after as many times as I heard it, I certainly developed a healthy hatred for the song. Oh, God. But that's over. On down the road. Chairs match for the U.S. title. Jack Swagger and Alberto Del Rio. The most distracting thing is you continue to have Alberto Del Rio fake bake before every match. Look, I'm not going to say this to try to be racist or anything. I'm not. Because Mexican people are naturally tan. Or at least most of them are. I'm sure there's exceptions to every rule. That being said, since we know Del Rio is tan already, you don't need to add more to it. Oh my God, he was orange. It was distracting. It was so bad. This match was a lot better than I was expecting. Because you're like, it's Jack Swagger, so you know Del Rio is going to win. But the action was good. Jack Swagger has wrestling talent. He's just going to continue to be unutilized by WWE because of the mistake he made before WrestleMania 29, which caused his World Championship match between Del Rio and himself, when I do believe he was genuinely going to win, to be derailed because Jack Swagger sped and got caught with marijuana. So we can't put the title on him after that. Jack, if you're listening, I can't believe I'm about to wish this on a talent, but I know TNA is very hungry to replace the wrestlers they've lost, either through lack of paying or just wanting to go to greener pastures, and they are starving like a man crawling through the desert, looking for a morsel of food for competent wrestlers. I would actually recommend that you ask for your release, wait out your 30-day cooldown period, and then go to TNA, where your talents can at least be appreciated, my friend. I do think Del Rio adding chairs to his Warrior Stomp of a finisher was a good accentuating point. It wasn't hard to believe that that kept Swagger down for 3 seconds. And, you know, it just was a good, solid finish. Good action. It's just, people don't care about Del Rio. People don't care about Swagger. And the reason they don't care about Swagger is because they know that this is just filler feud until Cena comes back at the end of this month, and then he'll go after the U.S. title again, and on and on. It's an endless cycle of repetition that, have I mentioned, the hardcore fans like myself are very sick of. Anyway, enough about that match. We got to talk about, real quick, Ryback and Rusev. First of all, I didn't know Rusev got accompanied to the ring by the lady on the Swiss Miss box. What's that? You're telling me that's Lana? Oh, no. No, see, that was clearly the Swiss Miss lady. Rusev must have found a way to animate her off the box. Look, I'm just poking a little fun. I find it amazing that you're now essentially allowing Lana, who seems to constantly get hurt in every one of Rusev's matches, and to his credit, Rusev does what any good fiancé should do and go and check on his significant other every time she does get hurt. But that's really very manipulative. So I suppose you could look at it as you're paying Rusev back for all the times that he manipulated Lana during their first run together, but it's just booking that doesn't make a lot of sense. I do want to see Rusev win more. I think now that him and Lana are back together, you could just go back to them being a force without Lana being the manipulative bitch that she's turned back into. It's a good thing that they're back together, and I'm so glad that this whole feud with Ziggler's over. You know, again, you might as well stamp a big I don't care with everything that Ziggler's involved in. I'm not saying he's not a good talent, he's just underappreciated, and even the fans that do like him know that he's not going to get anything significant. So, get whatever money you can, Ziggy, and then go away from this business. You're certainly funny enough. If you wanted to pursue a comedy career like Mick Foley has, I believe you could do very well at it. But this was just, you know, two meatheads clashing together. Who's stronger than who? Ryback gets hooked in the Accolade, and Rusev goes over. You know, good things all the way around. On to the next match. After another musical interlude, which, again, didn't need to happen. Intercontinental title. Ambrose and Owens. Oh my gosh. You know, I'm not going to say that this match was the match of the night, because I think the match that had the spot of the night with Kalisto actually earned that honor. But this was a really good match. It shows that a ring general like Owens, who is really good at calling spots and helping Dean slow down in his very flighty, you know, obviously Dean's there to kick your butt, but he flies all around the ring. He's going to end up hurting himself with the dives he does and just the sheer action that he tries to get in very quickly. Owens' technician style really slowed that down. I really think it benefited both superstars. It elevated both of them to a higher point. I'm not sad that Owens lost the title, because I'm hoping that this can be a nice long-term rivalry which you can hopefully use to put the Intercontinental title back into a state of prominence. If you can believe it, ladies and gentlemen, there was a time in the early to mid-90s that you used to look forward to Intercontinental title matches just as much, if not more, than you did the World Heavyweight title. And I want to see it get back to that point, because the Intercontinental title is extremely anemic at this point. It can be fixed, and hopefully with the storyline you've begun to create with these two, you can begin to fix it, because this is just the first of what can be many good matches between them. Now, Divas match. Charlotte and Paige. This was a good match. I say good, not great, because the detractions are that Charlotte is beginning to completely be a carbon copy of her father. Now, let me just say that I have endless respect for the wrestler Ric Flair. He may be the greatest performer that has ever existed as far as consistently giving you a good match regardless of the situation, regardless of who his opponent is. That having been said, Ric Flair's personality should stay Ric Flair. You don't need to turn Charlotte into the female Ric Flair. I know she is a Flair, but believe me, one of her strongest points that she had when she had her run in NXT was the fact that, yeah, we knew she was a Flair, but she was good enough in-ring to stand on her own. And the swerving is beginning to get to Becky. So, it's time for a little How Would the Wrestling Ranter book something in regards to Becky and Paige and Charlotte. We know that Becky is becoming quite disenchanted with the cheating ways of Charlotte and Rick together. So one day it would be cool if Becky woke up and was like, my God, all those times I thought Paige was wrong, she was right. And then Becky begins to take it to Charlotte. But of course Rick's there to counter her at every step of the way. So what if one time Paige is outside the ring and stops Rick from interfering, and then Charlotte taps out to the disarmer, and then you have a springboard for the talent that was the most irrelevant member of Team PCB. That'd be Becky, just in case you lost track. Suddenly she's thrust into prominence with the title, and then maybe you can have a nice rivalry between Becky and Paige back and forth. A triple threat between the three. There are all kinds of things, and all of the solutions I mentioned could help elevate the Divas revolution that you're trying to say that WWE is so fond of. And they are fond of it as long as they're on NXT, but on the main roster we need a shot in the arm. That's a way you could do it, because Becky's certainly good enough to have your title. So that's that match, you know. Are we surprised that Paige had to tap out? No. Actually, I'm sorry, she didn't tap out. She got beat by an exposed turnbuckle. An exposed metal turnbuckle. Hit her head off of that as Charlotte drove her into it. That's how it is. And you're saying, well, you know, she's the dirtiest female player in the game. Woo! No. Look, if you want to capitalize on the fact that Charlotte's a Flair by having her copy the chop and the woo, I'm fine with that. But seriously, we don't need Ric Flair to further accentuate the talents of Charlotte. I love you, Rick, but you need to step away and let your daughter be herself and not try to turn her into you. Alright, so there's that. And now we come to the World Heavyweight title TLC match. Let me be clear. I don't necessarily hate the action, although it's what you get when you have two powerhouses. You know, I'm going to drive you through a table, I'm going to drive you through a ladder, and this, that, and the other, and more predictability, because the second Roman is within inches of that brass ring, that title, here come the League of Nations to keep him from his victory and allowing Sheamus to capture the world title. You know your company is in a state of people not giving a crap about your product. When 3 separate times there were chants of, "We miss Rollins," "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks," and even Daniel Bryan got thrown into the mix. Vince, your company needs help. Now, that having been said, I will thank you for allowing Roman to finally get the brass ring on Raw. It was a good thing. I'm torn because it did good things, and yet it's not how I would have booked it, because I understand you painted yourself into a corner by saying that Roman needed to win the title on Raw if he wanted to keep his job. Not how I would have booked it, but it worked out well. How would I have done it? I would have said, you know what? Because of what you did to Triple H at the end of that match, because that beatdown that Roman gave Triple H was epic, and I welcomed it because it showed that he's not just the guy who's going to get there and say, "Oh, I got screwed over, but I'll get him next time." No, this time Roman was human. Roman was human, he showed frustration, and it was a beautiful thing. Now, what should have happened is, you don't get another shot at the title because of what you did to Triple H, Roman. And then you could have had Roman be like, Roman do exactly what he did and insult Vince McMahon's grapefruits. Alright. And then what Vince should have done is, alright, you want one more shot? I'll tell you what. You go into the Royal Rumble, and you're going in at number 1. And if you don't win that, you don't get another shot at the title and you're fired. But they kind of painted themselves into a corner by saying that Roman had to win that night or he'd be fired. And it was a good dramatic match. Roman really did look like Superman because he took a beating and he managed to do it. I am happy for him. And I will say, you know, I didn't see the talent that this guy had. I had a friend who did. She knows who she is. And she's very proud of herself that she spotted something that I didn't, and she should be. You have finally positioned Roman in a way where we can buy him as a babyface. I'm glad of this. Now please, 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 look at me, Vince, in the eye. Look at me in the eye. Do not take that title off of Roman until somebody significant is ready to come back. Be it Rollins, be it Cena, be it Orton. Or, if you wanted to take it off of somebody, you could do... I would buy Cesaro beating Roman, because those two could have a fantastic match. You've got two of the strongest guys you currently have on your roster. I mean, really. Who wouldn't want to see that match? I know I would. Here, take my money. Take my money I'm metaphorically throwing at you. But for those of you wondering, you know, what does Ranter think of the TLC pay-per-view? I'll give it 2.5 stars out of 5. And I should say, most of that positive rating comes from the Ambrose-Owens match and the beatdown that Roman gave Triple H at the end of the pay-per-view. It's bland. It's incredibly bad booking. Not bad in you get where you want to go, but you shouldn't be that predictable. Vince, if you want something to fix your pay-per-views, consider this. You give us a tremendous bargain in the WWE Network. And thank you for that. It does not mean that because you charge $10 a month for a network subscription, that you have the right to dumb down the value of your pay-per-view to make me feel like I'm watching a show that actually is worthy of the $10 price tag. You're capable of better. I saw it in Hell in a Cell. I want to see it in the Big Four. You need strong pay-per-views leading into Mania season. And I know you can do it. Your fan base knows you can do it, and we're frustrated because you aren't. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. You'll see me after tomorrow's NXT TakeOver pay-per-view. And then you'll see my buddy back because we're going to begin something special. We're going to begin in honor of the Rumble. We're going to do a Rumble retrospective. That's right. Me and my buddy, Mr. Rodriguez, are going to sit down. We're going to watch every Royal Rumble up to the most recent one. And we're going to give our thoughts on that. So, hope you guys look forward to that. Ranter off the soapbox. Catch you later. Bye-bye.